Hello, my name is David. I'm the literacy educator at the Eric Carle Museum of Picture Book Art. Thank you so much for joining Storytime with the Carle, our weekly read aloud series. Today, we are joined by our special guest, author Katrina Moore.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. Katrina is an author and an elementary school teacher currently living in New Jersey, and she is the author of two awesome picture books, Grandpa Grumps and One Hug, and the forthcoming picture book, Sometimes Love, and the chapter book series, Teeny Houdini. And after our story, Katrina would be happy to answer questions that any of you might have. So if you think of something during the program, feel free to type it into the comment section. So thank you so much, Katrina, for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I cannot wait to one day soon, I hope, come and do an event in person. But in the meantime, thank you for sharing all of your wonderful readers with me. I'm really excited to be here and to share a story with you all. Especially right now when the world feels really isolated. I think it's really neat that we can have a story time with readers all over the world. So hello, and thank you all for having me. This is going to be a very cozy story time, so I hope that you are comfy. And if you're not, get really cozy. I have my daughter's, actually, it's not mine, but she's sweet enough to let me borrow it. I have her unicorn blankie to keep me cozy, and I borrowed from my son his little monkey. And it's really funny because this little monkey might be seen in the book, even though the illustrator of the book, Julia Woolf, you'll see how amazing her illustrations are. She didn't know that we had this little monkey, and she did the art based off of some of the stuffed animals of her own children when they were growing up. But this little monkey's in the book. So as I read, see if you can find this little guy. And he's gonna help keep me company while I read. So I hope you all enjoy One Hug. This is written by me and it's illustrated by Julia Woolf. And one of my favorite things about picture books is that even though the words tell a story, sometimes the pictures tell a story, and the story might be exactly like the words, but it might tell a little more than the words too. And this is definitely one of those books where you have to pay really, really, really close attention to the pictures, because that's where a lot of the story is. So as I read and as you're getting all cozy and comfy, I also want you to put on your eagle eyes and be a really good spy and help me look at these pictures to see what's going on in One Hug. Here we go. One Hug. And I dedicated this to my daughter and son, Penelope, Benjamin, and Keith. He's my husband. They give the best snuggles. And I know right now it is really hard because we can't snuggle a lot of the people that we want to snuggle. So hopefully by sharing a book or a story time with them, that's another way that you can make that connection when we can't physically be hugging them. One Hug. Do you spy him? Where is he? Look, there he is. Isn't that funny? One Hug. And what are they looking at? You see, they're looking at an airplane. They're so excited. Let's see what happens and why they're waiting for that airplane. One hug. Two hugs. Sometimes three. Hugging makes us family. Some hugs nuzzle nose to nose. Some hugs lick and tickle toes. How many of you get tickly toe licks and a hug that way? I get those a lot. I get lots of slobbery dog hugs, which is great. chasing, racing to and fro. Sometimes hugs are on the go. You see what he's carrying? Looks like a little banner. Mom and Dad look like they're carrying some things. Open arms that swoop around. Some hugs whoosh you off the ground. What are they setting up for? I did a good job of setting up a cozy scene, huh? The dog even fell asleep on us. Some hugs wait for years and years. Do you remember that airplane? Look at this. Looks like they're reaching for each other. I love this moment right before you're about to hug someone. And look at, they have suitcases. This looks like it's their family. And it says some hugs wait for years and years. So they haven't seen each other in years. That's probably how we feel right now with the people we love, right? It's almost been a year. It's been so long. And so I want you to think of that feeling right before you get to hug them. That's what these characters are going through. Some hugs wait for years and years. Some hugs cradle falling tears. This is my favorite spread because they're finally hugging. Look at Mom is finally hugging her mom. Falling tears. Normally we're really sad when we cry, right? But they look so happy. It's like that feeling of they've been waiting years to finally be connected again, and now they are. Some hugs cradle falling tears. Some hugs spin you super fast. Look how happy everyone is. Someone doesn't look as happy. You spy someone who maybe looks a little bit more nervous than the others. Other hugs were made to last. Oh. She's not quite in there yet, is she? One might need a hug right now. Could you help to show them how? Who's gonna help her? Look at her big brother coming to bring her in. Lean in close and nestle in. Wow, you made a frown a grin. What do you think they're making? It's one of my favorite foods. Dumplings. Warm and sweet like grandma's tea. Hugging makes us family. You see something yummy in there you want to eat? I want to eat all of it. Notice how they've got their hot dogs, their hamburgers, but they also have spring rolls and dumplings. They've got chopsticks and forks. Does your family like to eat all sorts of different food? Mine does. Catching, cupping, not too tight. Some hugs twinkle in the night. Grabbing bundles, 1, 2, 3. One hug turns a me to we. Lullabies and starlit skies, one big snuggle, sleepy eyes. Curled up, cuddly, cozily. How do you hug family? What's your favorite way to hug someone? What's your favorite way to hug someone right now when you can't really hug someone? I bet you could be really, really creative. So, thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you, Katrina, for reading that beautiful book. It made me feel very, very cozy and happy, and it made me want to give a big hug. If it made you feel like giving a big hug, give yourself a big squeeze too. Oh,
I know, I think that's the magic of books, is that they can really help to connect us, especially when we seem so far away from each other. So I hope everyone is able to hug something, someone near them, and always remember to hug lots of books too.
absolutely. And if you have time, we have some questions and some comments coming into the chat. A lot of people just saying, thank you so much. And we are wondering where you get your ideas for your stories.
I get my ideas everywhere. I am very, very thankful to have so many wonderful people in my life. I have 2 children and I teach second grade as well. So I have lots of students. And I think being around children all the time, just their energy, I love it. Children remind you, you have to play, and that's the most important thing. And so I spend a lot of time playing. And then I think about when I was a child too, and the kinds of books that I would have loved to read as a child, but I couldn't find. And so that's how I started writing, was from that need of wanting books that I wish I had as a child, and I didn't. And so that's sort of how One Hug came to be. I really wanted to read a book where the main character looked like me and I could see myself, but maybe it wasn't a book that was centered around race or identity or struggle. I wanted it to be a joyful, happy book that anybody could grab and hug, and then little me and little children who also look like me could see themselves and say, hey, they get to be the star of a really happy, joyful book too. And so that's where it started. And then for me, it always starts with really strong feelings. I love hugs. I've always been a big hugger. And I was thinking about all the different types of hugs that I get and that I give, and how they're so different and how they mean different things, and how sometimes one hug makes me feel so much better than 1,000 comforting words might. And I was thinking about that really, really far away hug that you have to wait a long time for. And I just have this memory still of my dad waiting for that hug from his mom, from my mama, my grandma. And she immigrated to the United States when I was 3. And I remember being at the airport, and I never saw my dad cry before. And she started coming down the escalator stairs with my grandpa, and my dad just started sobbing. And they hugged, and they were so happy. And I was 3 and I couldn't understand it at the time, but I kept thinking about that and thinking about that. And so I wanted to write a book about how powerful hugs and connections can be. And that's how One Hug came to be.
Thank you for sharing that beautiful story about how this beautiful book came into being. Thank you again, Katrina, for visiting today and sharing One Hug with us. To purchase a copy of One Hug with a very special signed book plate by Katrina, you can visit the Carle shop. There's a link included in the description attached here. On behalf of everyone at the Carle, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your stories. We hope you'll join us for our next story time. In the meantime, we're going to send really big virtual hugs and best wishes. Bye.
Bye, everyone.